You guys know all the housekeeping. So here's our agenda. Mary's going to run the meeting. And we'll go ahead and do roll call, Mary.
Yep, sounds great.
Okay. Alrighty, Angela. Brad.
Yep, I'm here.
And as we're doing updates, if people have any community updates, feel free to share. Christina. Connie.
Present.
Thank you. Daniel Brown. Daniel Burlingame. David Norwood. Dave Wynn.
I'm here.
Thank you. Elizabeth. Gail Mansowitz. There you are.
Yep. I'm here.
Thank you. Gail Dugan. James is actually no longer a member. Jason Legowski, he's not here. Jeffrey Dutton. Joe. John.
Yep, I'm here.
Thank you. Justin. Ken Harvey. Laura. Leah. Lynn Knopf.
Yeah,
I'm here. I'm here.
Thank you. Lynn McIntosh. Margaret. Mary.
Here.
Pam McQueer. I don't know why my X is now on the other side. Patty Baldwin.
I'm here.
Thank you. Richard Burns. Rick Radisky.
Here.
Bob Pataki. Samra. Sandy is at an Eagles farewell concert, so jealous of her. Shalene Thurston.
I'm here.
Thank you. Stacy Taylor.
Yep.
Teresa.
Yep.
I'm here.
Thank you, Teresa. Welcome back. Tony Spagnolia.
I don't think I see Tony.
Tyler Mitchell.
I'm here.
Bill Barnett.
I don't see him in the list.
All righty.
Lynn McIntosh just got on.
Hi, Lynn.
Hi, how you doing? Looks like you got past my name already, but I'm here.
Yeah.
It's Angela. I'm also here. Sorry, I joined a few minutes late. Angela Young should be one of the first few.
Excellent. And Kelly, go back down to the bottom of that roll call. Did you mark Bill Barnett here? Because it looked like you did. Okay. I don't think, unless he shows up later.
Daniel Brown just joined late too.
Hi, Daniel. Well, at least I'm not the last.
No, you were the first last.
I like that. That's gonna be my motto. Okay, I'll mute myself now.
All right, Mary?
Kelly, did you want to introduce the person from My Enviro because you said that she wanted to go first? Is that correct?
Yeah, so during the last meeting, it was mentioned people having a hard time navigating the Map Explorer on My Enviro. So we got in touch with Sarah Ahanger, who works for Water Resource Division. She works with the My Enviro database, and she's going to kind of give you a crash course of how to use it. Prior to talking to her, I reached out to Connie Boris to kind of get some feedback on what she thought would be helpful for Sarah to explain. So met with Sarah, talked it over. She's gonna give you the rundown. We also have a cheat sheet for you that I'll send out later this evening to you guys. Kind of has different ways that you can filter the information to find more PFAS specific information that you might be looking for. So again, Sarah, she doesn't deal with the regulatory, how come you do this? How come you do that? She's strictly My Enviro. So Sarah?
Thanks, Kelly. And as Kelly said, my name's Sarah Ahanger, and I am the manager of the Licensing and Technology Support Unit in Water Resources Division. And I manage a group of people whose job it is to try to help corral the data that we have in My Enviro. And Kelly asked me to come in and chat with you about the tool. And Kelly, the other thing I want to make sure that when you send out later, just to let everybody kind of take a deep breath, because I know I'm kind of techie, and if you're not as techie, sometimes when you see it on the screen, you don't feel as comfortable trying to reproduce it on your own. There's also a sheet that Kelly can share that really is going to talk about everything that I'm going to share with you. So don't panic. I'm going to try to move slow, but if you want to try it on your own, you'll have a guide to help you with everything that I'm going to show you today as well. So between the two cheat sheets that you're going to get, hopefully you'll have some tools that will help you navigate better. So I know it can be overwhelming when you're seeing it and watching people zoom through it, and I'm going to try not to zoom too fast, but I'm going to try to show you some tips and tricks. So let me share my screen and get started. All right, so My Enviro was made in 2015, and it actually started well before 2015. But in August of 2015 is when My Waters, which it was then called, rolled out, and that initiative was really the primary focus was to modernize Water Resource Division's permitting and compliance databases. And we had 26 different databases at that time doing different program work that we consolidated into one system. And at that time in 2015, most of our data wasn't publicly facing. There was some stuff that was publicly facing, but a lot of our records were not publicly facing. So one of the things that was important to us when we were building the system was to try to put as much as we could publicly facing and accessible to the public. So that was a part of the system. So what I'm going to show you is just one small part of My Enviro, and it's the public facing part, and that's what's called Sitemap Explorer. And you can see I'm highlighting it here, and there's going to be a direct link that you can use, and I can actually type in the direct link that will take you right to Site Explorer. I'm going to put it in chat, but it will also be in the handout that Kelly shares later. So Sitemap Explorer is the place that we put public-facing information. And as we're getting records in the system, we try to put as much as we can public-facing. There's certain things that are not going to show in Site Explorer, and we can talk about those as we go. But we do try to make the vast majority of things public. But the types of things that you might not see there, we don't show complainant information because we want the public to be able to anonymously complain without fear of retaliation. So we do withhold things like that. Certain things like attorney-client privilege stuff won't be in there, and things that aren't done yet. So if we're working on something and we haven't finished it, those types of things will not be in the system. But I'll get into that a little bit more. So from the main MyEnviro portal page, you can click on Sitemap Explorer. There's some other things that we have here too that are public facing. And it will open Sitemap Explorer. And then you're going to see this big screen with dots all over the place. And one of the questions that I get asked a lot is, why are there dots in South Dakota, in Canada, and all over the place? And one of the things that we did when we built MyEnviro is we said, you know, how do we display information to the public so that they can find the stuff that they're interested in? And one of the concepts that we had was that we think about records and we think about the work that we do often in regards to a spot on the land, right? So we're saying, hey, this company that is located here, we're going to permit them, or we're going to evaluate how they're doing with environmental work. And so we wanted to display that geographically, because if you're interested in what's going on in your backyard, you want to be able to like see your backyard and see what's in the area. And when we did that, when we migrated our data over from those legacy databases that we had, those old databases, we didn't always have great latitude and longitude data for the old stuff that we have. So some of these dots way out here in the other states are because we had homeowners or landowners that actually their home address, their mailing address was out here. They were doing work in Michigan, but these are typically older data from migrated data in. And so for the most part, I mean, you can look at these dots, but they're typically older data, and we haven't cleaned up all of the dots that aren't in Michigan yet. We definitely make sure that the dot on the map is in the right spot as new data comes in. And one of the other things that I like to tell people right away when you're looking at Sitemap Explorer is that you can zoom in and zoom out. We can do that with these little plus minus buttons over here. And you can also use your mouse wheel to scroll in and scroll out. So I'm gonna scroll into my favorite neck of the woods, which is West Michigan area. And as you zoom in, these dots expand, and every dot on the map is some place that we regulate for one of the very, very numerous things that we regulate in Water Resources Division. So not all of these dots are emerging contaminants related or PFAS related. They could be stormwater, they could be construction sites, they could be wetland sites, seawalls. And I'm going to show you how to kind of narrow your search down. But if you're looking and you're like, hey, I live in Plainwell, what's going on in Plainwell area? As you scroll in to your area, if you live in this neck of the woods, the more you scroll in to your address or your spot, you can see these dots start to expand out. And so, if you live in the Douglas Road area and you want to know what happened here, you can click on that dot and it's going to tell you, hey, we had a complaint. And we don't show a lot of information about our complaints, but we did get a complaint about this location at one time. Now, if you are interested in your address or in a particular area, you can scroll into your neighborhood and you can continue to look and say, okay, I live on West AB Avenue. What is happening in these areas? And I can see, oh, There was a resources general permit, and they're a neighbor down the street. So I want to see more information, and I can get some more information about that particular site and if they have anything going on. And I can see that this is an older record. So one of the things that I'm going to tell you about what you won't find in my Enviro is typically the sites that are older. So really pre-2015, there may not be a lot of documents on those, because prior to 2015, the official file for Eagle WRD, Water Resources Division, was the paper file. So we didn't have all of our records electronically. So if you see it's an older permit that was there, you wouldn't expect to see a lot of documents for that publicly facing, because this didn't come out until well after that permit was issued. So my Enviro didn't come out until 2015. So a lot of our records are still paper for those older files. So that's like a quick touch base, and then I'm going to back up and I'm going to show it to you again. I'm going to show you a different way to zoom in. So that's how you can kind of zoom into areas that you know your location, and you want to just zoom into your location and see what's going on. Another way that you can search is by keyword or address. So if you are going to search by keyword, really street names and industry names are really good ways to search. So let's say I want to know about the Lapeer wastewater treatment plant. We abbreviate wastewater treatment plant as WWTP. I can type in the name and it's going to show me a search. And it's going to search all the things. It's going to search the address line and the name that we have in our system. So it's searching all of those different things. And you can see we have a lot of things named Lapeer, because these ones are County Road Commission sites in Lapeer. There's Lapeer Linear Trail. There's all sorts of sites, right? And you may not be interested in all of that. So I'm going to show you some what I would call pro tips on how to search, because I think this group is mostly interested in particular areas and things that are related to PFAS. So, and again, I'm going to say one more thing here about this map. When you're doing your initial search, the map will automatically filter your search by how far you're zoomed in. So if I'm showing the entire state of Michigan, it's going to search the entire state of Michigan. If I'm zoomed in like just to this area of Michigan, it's only going to search what it can see on the map. It's not searching the UP, it's not searching the northern lower. So when you're searching, if you're not sure where the location is, be zoomed out all the way. The easiest way to do that is to hit that home button and start all the way zoomed out. Then hopefully you can see it, but there's this little 3 parallel lines up here, and those 3 parallel lines open an advanced search window. And I can, let's see if I can work my magic here and zoom it in. Oops, too far. So I don't know if you can see it better, but these 3 parallel lines right here next to the search, if you click that, it brings out advanced search tools. So let's say you have a specific address, you know, a specific address that you want to search, you can search just the address. That will help you find it, and that search isn't going to pull up everything Lapeer. It's going to only pull up, like if I type in 130 West Center and type that in, it's going to pull anything with 130 Center. It's searching, so my 130 West Center comes right up to the top. So that advanced search kind of helps you narrow in what you're looking for. And then another thing in that advanced search that you may find really helpful for the type of things that you're interested in is this filters area. And if you hit this filters button, you can say, you know what, I am only interested in the sites that are PFAS sites. And if you go to the site types and you scroll down, there is this site types called PFAS. And if I click this button, and then I can see that it now narrowed my list down to 462 sites. Now, remember, when you're looking at this information, this is not every site that PFAS has ever been looked at for Eagle. These are the sites that Water Resources Division staff have looked at and interacted with and marked as PFAS sites. So this isn't all Eagle. This is very specific to Water Resources Division and very specific to permitting and compliance data. But this is a nice way to quickly narrow your search. And then if you start typing, it's narrowing your search by PFAS sites. So let's say I want to type in Lapeer wastewater treatment plant. Let's see if that'll do it. It does. I only get one response for Lapeer. It shows me the blue dot. If I want to click on it, I click on the name. It's going to show me some quick information here. So it's going to tell me there was 96 evaluations or inspections, 27 violations, 5 compliance actions, and a total of 1,700 plus documents for Lapeer wastewater treatment plant. Now, those documents aren't all PFAS related. That's everything we've ever done for Lapeer wastewater treatment plant. But if you want to get more information, you hit the show more information box and you can see, well, what kind of permits did they have? They had a Part 41 permit. They had some National Pollutant Discharge Elimination System permits, industrial stormwater. This is our combined sewer overflows. We can go here to look at more information about those permits. So they call permits environmental interests in the system, because not all environmental interests are permits, but most of them that we have are. So you can get some more information about those permits that they have right here, when they expire, when they started, what the permit number is. You can click this button here at the compliance. But before I do, I want to show you one extra pro tip. When you're seeing this, it will default you to just giving you 5 results at a time. If you look at this, it says this is page 1 of 9. So there's a lot more information here. So if you expand your rows out to 20, you can see that there's a lot more information in there. And now it's 1 page of 3, and you can use these arrow keys to move through and look at what you're seeing. So there's a lot of information that we're making available to people. And these are all just reports of combined sewer overflow or sanitary sewer overflow situations on this page. But if you go back to page 1, you can see that we had the individual permit. And then on the compliance page, you're going to see some quick facts about what we have been doing out on the site. And again, this is everything we've done on the site. So for Water Resources Division, so you can see that we've had 96 inspections in the life of this facility. So it's not just PFAS inspections. It is 96 different inspections over the years, and you can say the first 10 of those 96 are right here, and the newest ones will always be on top. So if you're interested in getting a little bit more data, you can look and say, okay, this was a biosolids inspection and that was performed on 4/6. And then the part that most people are interested in is, what kind of documents do we have? What kind of correspondence have we had? What kind of sampling results have we had? Where do I find that? If you go to this documents tab on the side, this is all the documents that we have had for Lapeer wastewater treatment plant that we have publicly facing. This is all 1,700 plus documents that we have public facing. Again, the most recent stuff is always towards the top. So the most recent issued, entered, completed stuff is always going to be at the top. And you can download and look at these in bulk or one-on-one. And then there's some ways to filter and sort this as well to help you find what you're looking for. So I'm just going to show you really quick how you open a document. So there's two different ways. You can click on this name here of the file name. You can click on it. And if you click on it, it's going to offer you an open button up here. And I'm going to give you a little bit of another pro tip. Depending on your browser, you can see that this one's staying open for me. I'm in Edge. If you use Chrome, Chrome hides that. It gives you like 3 seconds to click the button. And if you don't, it goes away. Your little pop-up goes away. There's a little arrow button down here in both Chrome and Edge. And if you lost this button, you can come back up to that little down arrow in the upper right corner of your browser to find it again. So don't worry, it's not gone. But if you're not fast to get up there in Chrome, it hides it from you. So if you want to open it, you can open the document and you can read the document. You can save it to your computer, or you can look at it. You can review the document that's there and see all of the information that we make public. So I'm gonna head back to where I was. So you may ask yourself, how do I find the types of stuff that I'm interested in? I don't want to search through every document you have because I don't really care about your stormwater inspections. I want to know about stuff that's very specific to PFAS. You can also search a little bit using this description category and these type categories. These allow you to filter. So the cheat sheet that you're getting from Kelly later on is going to have some terms and keywords that you can throw into your search that help you search. So if you type in PFAS, remember we had 1,700 plus records in here. Well, when I type in PFAS, there's 43 that are labeled PFAS. So it helps you get to those ones that are more in your interest area. Now, is that 100%? May some of the other documents be of interest to you that don't have a description of PFAS? Yeah, of course. But it helps you narrow your search to find what you might be looking for by using those filters. So you can clear it out by just backing out and hitting enter. It'll bring back everything else. So you can also do some searching using the date and the type, but description's really where the easiest place to search is. If you have some keywords, like you can say, I'm interested in permit information. And if you type in permit, you're only going to get records that are associated with a permit or a compliance schedule. So that search tool is pretty nice. And then one of the other things that will happen is, let's say you type in PFAS and 43 records come up, and let's say you want to check only the ones that are most recent. So let's say you say, I want anything from 2020 on. If you want those, you come up here and you can say, I check all 5 of those and I want to download them. And it takes a little bit depending on your internet connection. And then it will zip them up for you, because sometimes these documents are quite large. You're going to hit open and you can't see it, but I'm going to bring it down here so you can see it. It'll open them up in a zip and you can extract them and save them into your file. So you can open them one at a time, or you can download it in batch if that's what you want to do to look at them maybe more easily from your computer. So at a very high level, those are some of the quick tips. And then one more thing I want to show you, because this matters sometimes when people are looking. Let me exit out of this and let me zoom in here. And I still have Lapeer up, so it's showing me that blue dot means it's Lapeer. And as you're zooming into your area, sometimes people don't like this map view. You want to know, like, I want to see an aerial photo. You can also get to that. Let's see if I can find it. With this thing that looks like a map up here. And you can say, you know what, I want to see the satellite image instead of this map. It's the fold out that looks like a map. And then it will pull up a satellite image for you. So you can see the satellite image. And then if you know where your house is in this area, you can like zoom yourself right in to your house. Another thing that you can do is there's layers in here that you can turn on if you want other information, like where are the wetlands or where are the rivers. You can turn on different layers to look at the map. So there's a lot of things that it can do if you're willing to play around with it. But the version I just showed you on how to jump into a site and how to search is really the nuts and bolts basics of how to find the types of records that you're looking for. So I want to kind of give you a couple caveats to remember. So this database wasn't made specifically for PFAS content, right? It was made for 26 different databases, shoving them all into one bucket and for permitting and compliance. So when we try to put stuff out publicly, we're trying to be transparent about that. But because as a government agency, we document the heck out of things. Like, it's a good thing. We want to be transparent, right? We want people to be able to see how we got from A to B. But I want to give you some framework. We have 50,000 different sites of environmental interest in my Enviro. 500,000. I said it wrong. It still seems wrong in my brain. 500,000 sites over the course of the years that we've been doing work that are sites of environmental interest. Not all of them are active. Some of them had a seawall permit 10 years ago, and they're probably not that exciting. But, you know, we're doing a lot of work. We have over 4 million records, documents stored in my Enviro. So it's because we do a lot of work. So sometimes it can be hard because you're like, man, I don't want to sort through all this stuff. It's because we're doing a lot of work at those facilities in a lot of different program areas, and we're not trying to bury you in paperwork. It's that we have to do a lot of paperwork to document what we're doing as a state agency. One of the other things that's good to remember too is that we have over 400 staff working in my Enviro, entering stuff. And sometimes, you know, they miss checking a box or aren't necessarily getting that data public as quickly. And it's really just because we're handling a lot of records. So sometimes that information is, you know, why wasn't it public? Why did I have to ask for it? Well, sometimes it's that they just hadn't gotten to making it public yet. So those are things to remember. And then one other thing that I wanted to share with you that I think is helpful from like if you're interested in a specific site and you want to come back to it. So let's go back to that Lapeer example. Oops, can't type. Let's say I really like this site. It's interesting. I like it in that I want to stay on top of it. I want to see, you know, I want to come back and check later. You can bookmark this just like you can bookmark any other site. So if you find the site that you're interested in, and let's say you're like, okay, well, they said that they did an inspection out there, but I'm not seeing the results yet because they just did an inspection out there like a couple weeks ago, and I'm not seeing the results back. You can go up to your favorites bar and you can favorite it just like anything else. And if you leave and come back and go to your favorites, it'll take you right here. So, so if you want to like say, hey, I want to look once a month and see if there's new stuff, you know, favorite your site and come back and look at it if it's something that you're interested in over and over again. Some of our folks are very interested in specific locations. So that's another pro tip that is helpful. And then the other things to know, air quality division is in the process of integrating into the system. So our friends in air quality division are not in there yet. but they will be coming in the spring. So we have a few things that they do, like dry cleaning is in here. And they're starting to get their sites in here, but their records and data is not fully populated. So if you do see something that looks like an air quality site, they're kind of shells right now, and they won't be full sites with data until spring of 2024. So I tried not to go too fast, and I threw a lot of information at you. So I'm sure it's a little bit overwhelming, but I hope that I can answer questions that you might have. Daniel.
Sarah, that was awesome. That
Good.
was a lot of good information.
Good. And I'm
Daniel
hoping that
Brown,
the
I see
handouts
your
will
hand.
make you feel better, because again, I understand that this is a lot to consume. So the handouts cover everything I showed you, so it'll be okay.
Excellent.
So Daniel.
Yeah, Sarah, thanks for that. That was great. And I know how hard it is to deal with large data sets, ArcGIS and everything. So much appreciated. The way you described kind of entering the portal is usually how I access it, where I have a site in mind, a question comes up about a specific place with a very specific ask. So you enter the map, kind of work through it as you showed, which was great. Something that's been coming up a little bit more recently is if we want to download bulk data on a given theme or cleanup criteria, or if we want to get all of the Part 201 sites or all the leaking underground storage tanks, what's the best way to kind of go through the portal to do sort of a bulk download? Basically a giant Excel sheet around data type like that.
So I'm gonna kind of give you two answers here, and one is this is somewhat super advanced, so take it with a grain of salt when I give it to those of you that may not want to do that level of dive. So one, remember that this is not all of Eagle. So when you're saying 201 sites and leaky underground storage tanks, those are not the types of things that WRD regulates. So those would be in our sister divisions like remediation division or waste and hazardous materials division, and potentially depending on what you're looking for. So they have different portals with different records that may be available. So that's not my area. And Kelly, I don't know if you had something to add to that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, so this is the first thing that we did was My Enviro. The next thing we're going to do is talk about RIDE, which is the 201 sites, which is now public facing. We didn't want to cram all of this into one evening for you, so figured we'd save that for January or February's agenda to talk about how to get that information. Because yes, Eagle, even waste and air, some of the air permitting stuff is starting to get into My Enviro. It's not all there yet. Waste, they're having discussions on adding that eventually to My Enviro, but currently they're still working out of their own systems.
And then part two of my answer, Daniel, is there's this button here that says download data to your computer. And this does some of that CSV export that you're talking about. But again, remember that this is only going to be water data. And what I would say is, please don't crash our system. So you want to narrow your search results down. Do not try to do like, I want everything you have, or I want all of this county, everything, and I want to export it all. I think it's going to limit you anyways to like not do too many. But if you want a bunch of stuff, you can download like the basic information. But when I say basic, it's more like you can see like the compliance information here and the environmental interest information here. It's more like that kind of data. You're not going to get the download export of all the documents for all these sites. Just the processing power to like again, if you think about just that one site in Lapeer, just that one site, if you tried to download all 1,700 documents, you know, most people's computers are grind to a halt. So like, but some of that raw data, like how many inspections have you done, all that stuff, you can get using this download button. And I would not, you know, it's a good place to start if you want to try.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Looks like Connie, you're next.
Yeah, thank you very much, Sarah. Two quick things. One is a very perhaps stupid question to you, but really hard for me. I could not access my Enviro portal. It took me such a long time to realize I had to hit the arrow in the leaf. You've got to have some kind of information to tell people that, because they're going to say, oh, that's a nice logo. And they're not going to realize it's the way to get into the site.
Yeah, so you mean from our website page, I think. So like if I'm here, let's go back here. You mean this part here, or are you talking up here? Or are you talking on our
right
website,
there,
Eagle website?
Yeah, when I do MI Enviro Portal, WRD, when I Google it, I get just that part there with and how am I supposed to know that? You know?
So I am glad, Connie, that this is being recorded, because you are singing the voice of my people. So I have wanted this for a long time, and trying to get across that we need like a really good button, and that is obvious to people that that's how you do it. So like I hear that, and I will take that feedback back to my web people and see if I can make another run at it. I completely understand what you're talking about, and wholeheartedly agree that that is an area that I would like to see a little bit more obvious for people. And for people that don't know what Connie's asking, let's see if I can expand this without breaking the presentation.
It's right there.
Yeah, it's this button, and this is also a pet peeve of mine that is shared. So I will, or moving making it clear that this is a link. This conversation has been had before by my team, so this just reinforces it. And thank you for that, because I can take it back to my web team and say, hey, you know, we're hearing this from our public advisory group. We'd really like to get that somehow distinguished better.
Yeah, Sarah, just one last quick thing. I was preparing some comments on a wetland permit application.
Yeah.
And I went to the Site Map Explorer, and there was no wetland delineation report, which is vital for preparing comments. So I called up, and your person in Environmental Assistance Division said to me, hey, this portal is really for applicants, permit applicants, not the public. And I said, I think you're wrong on that.
I think they are.
But the point is, you know, you don't load everything up, and you're only given 20 days to submit comments. So then I get it on the very last day. And I think when that happens, there should be an extension of the public comment period, an apology that the wetland delineation report was not put on the Site Map Explorer or the public notice search.
And that information in how our public notices work. So one of the things is there's this public notice feature here where it says public notice search. And if you search that, that will show you whatever public notices we have going at a given time are. And so you can see what's happening here. So Connie, one of the things that you're speaking to is if you see that somebody's public noticing a permit, some of these happen to be not wetland permits, but this one is. So if we want to look at it and view and submit comment, when you go to view and submit comment and you hit this documents button, what Connie's describing is there's only a few things labeled here, and maybe not all of the information that she would like to make an informed public comment. And if you hit this button, it does take you to Sitemap Explorer, where you can look at the documents. But what Connie found was that she didn't have any wetlands information on the particular record that she was looking at. And one of the things that is not, I guess what I would say to start is that is not within the control of my team and something that I do. And I think that that feedback I can share. And generally speaking, the staff should be uploading any application comments, or excuse me, application documents that came in with the application or that they believe are relevant to the assessment. So if you find that you're not seeing something that you need, one of the things that you can do is you can look at the agency processor and who that person is. And they have a phone number here. And that's a good place to start and make a phone call on the public notices to say, hey, I didn't see this. Was it an oversight? Do you is it not part of the app? This isn't my program, so I can't tell you whether they always will have one, when they won't always have one. But knowing that you can look at this agency processor, and I could see, I could talk to you guys for days about my Enviro. So I want to get to the other questions, and this is kind of a different area, but hopefully that helps.
It does.
Rick?
Yeah, I just wanted to thanks Sarah for doing this presentation, and I did want to mention that this is a great site to find information out about where biosolids are applied. I've done some searches just trying to find out where certain wastewater treatment plants are dumping their biosolids, and it's been very informative for that. And I also wanted to mention that there's another site. It's not an Eagle site, but it's called Echo Notify, and you can sign up for that. It's an EPA website, and they will send you a report every week of all the inspections or violations that were done in a particular area. So I'm, again, very interested in Ottawa County and Kent County, and I get a weekly report on that. So there's that website, and then this one. And this is really excellent because it does give you information on wetlands and other things. But, if you want to find out about biosolids, where they're applied, it's got very good information there. It doesn't tell you if there's PFAS in the biosolids, but, it gives you a good indication about where those particular materials are being applied. So again, thanks for the presentation.
Yeah, and then one last plug, I would say use this with caution, but related to what you were saying, Rick, about Echo and being able to sign up for notifications. You can sign up for notifications here too, and you can narrow it down by county of interest. But what I would caution you with is if you sign up for, let's say, all permits for all the programs, we issue, I'm gonna look at my notes. Last year, we in water issued somewhere around roughly a little under 8,000 permits last year. So be careful what you wish for if you want an email every time we issue a permit. But you can sign up for certain alerts here as well. And, you'll get a notification on those when you try to go through that process to get signed up for public notices that happen in a certain area as well. So it's a little bonus feature. We don't know we haven't really tracked how many people are using it, but if you're interested, you can sign up for that as well. Mary?
Yeah, thank you, Sarah. So when you're saying that a specific site, are you able to go in and choose, like in our particular case, we're interested in the wastewater treatment plant for a manufactured home community? Can you get that specific or just for an area?
In the alerts or the Sitemap Explorer?
In the sign up for and manage alerts.
Let's see if it lets me with my state email. Let me see if I can do this. Is it going to let me? There it is. Okay. So, you can sign up for applications received by geographic area of interest. So you have to sign up by county at this point. So you can't,
Okay.
it might have municipality, but I don't remember. So I think the answer is no for specific locations that are like a very specific, like manufactured housing, community, mobile home park, whatever. However, that's where I would recommend, if you're interested, to bookmark your site as well in Site Explorer, because like if you know you're going to go back to it on a regular basis, you're going to see stuff happen there too. So this was our first round at this concept. We knew it was kind of something that we thought people might be interested in, but we wanted to take a bite at this without getting overly complex. So right now this is it's by program, so you can narrow it by broad program, and you can narrow it by geographic county, and that's it.
Okay. Well, it's still a start, so we
Yay.
appreciate that. And
Yeah.
appreciate your coming and presenting, because that was really interesting and hopefully very helpful to our members.
And Kelly, I blew way past my time, so sorry that I took so long, but hopefully you guys found this helpful. And you know, if there's questions, I think you're going to get some contact information in the handouts that Kelly's going to provide for follow-up, but hopefully you can navigate a little better after the fast and dangerous presentation. So
thank you. Appreciate it.
Sarah, Mary, can you hear me?
I can.
We can.
Okay, I don't know how to raise my hand when I'm calling in by phone. This is Lynn McIntosh.
Hey, Lynn.
I had one simple question that, at least for my level of sleuthing or trying to figure things out environmentally, it helped me before. I would be very interested in seeing what other complainants had said about things. I don't know if there's a way to include that information, but just not include their name. It helped when I was exploring Wolverine Worldwide, but I physically went down to the office and viewed other complaints, and it was helpful to me. So I don't know why, for a regular person here, that would be something that would be helpful to me. But I don't know. Is there a reason that you can't include what the complaint was about?
Yeah. So one of the reasons. Yeah, so one of the reasons why the approach was taken the way it was, and just excluding complaints in general, is that you would be surprised at how much revealing data is provided in people's description of the complaint that actually is identifiable. So it's not as simple as the system just like, okay, we're just going to redact, like pre-redact the name and put this out here, because a lot of times the description of the issue is sprinkled with, my employer who I've worked for 15 years is doing super bad things, or it's my neighbor who lives next door to me. And so it's all sprinkled in through the narrative. And so to actually do our due diligence to protect the ability for people to anonymously complain and not fear reprisal, it would be a lot of upfront effort to redact. It's not something the system can just automatically do. It would require our processing of that information more intensely, and the decision was just made to be on the safe side, to not proactively release that. Now, certainly if you were to submit a FOIA in those instances, we would do the extra effort to go and make sure we paired out any of that narrative identifying information. But you would be surprised at how often the complainant information is like sprinkled throughout, where it's pretty identifiable for people. And it's a balance, because who the complainant is sometimes is very important, you know, as to like how knowledgeable they are about what they're seeing and those types of things. So I understand why a lot of that in the body of the complaint would be interesting and helpful for people. But it's so important for our agency to be able to receive complaints and have people trust that they can provide us information that they may feel pressure socially or in their profession to not provide, that we had to strike that balance in order to get the work done.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I could see where someone would be very, it would be hard to go through all of that and pull all that out. So that's what that makes sense. Thank you.
Yeah.
It looks like, thank you.
Yeah, so I just wanted to add to what Sarah said, that if there was a follow-up inspection,
yes,
the information on the inspection would be available. So you would be able to find that and to see, okay, someone from Eagle went out, they either confer, they found whatever they found based on that complaint. So I don't know if that helps. Thanks.
Okay, it looks like I'm not seeing any more hands. Does anybody have a last minute question for Sarah?
Great job, Sarah.
All right. Thank you all. I hope you have a wonderful evening and get some outside time tomorrow because it's supposed to be nice. So
excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
Have a good one, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah.
Okay, so next on our agenda is the discussion and concerns of who and how communities are warned, specifically with signage or other notification issues. I have things with Holly, but I would open it up for other people as well if they have concerns for their area. Okay, well, for me specifically in Holly, I did send out an email to the group. We had, as you know, from other meetings, 2 of our lakes have been listed on the Eat Safe Fish guide. And I had been getting great information from Brandon Reed and other staff regarding that. I offered to take information to the Village of Holly and the Township of Holly for that information. And I did. And the response that they gave was not encouraging. The Village of Holly only stated in an email that they would not include any information on their agenda due to the fact that they don't put out reports for other government agencies. And it is not an issue for village government. The township, their response was, if anyone contacts them, that they would go ahead and forward the information that I had given, or they could refer them directly to the Eat Safe Fish program. And Brandon had also stated that they share the information, and Abby also sent out the email telling the different steps that they go through to broadcast the information for the Eat Safe Fish outreach. I guess for me, I'm still having an issue with the fact that at no point does it appear, unless it comes through the local health department, are the individual residents or the municipality informed. And I guess my other question is if the municipality is informed, as in our case, it does not appear that they take it to the next step and inform the residents, who I feel are the most at risk for getting and eating contaminated extra fish that might put their health and their family's health at risk. So I just feel like there is a step there that is not complete. So, Lynn.
Yeah, thank you, Mary. I have definite concerns about this. And it does seem that municipalities, sort of that's their go-to position is, well, if it was that important, an agency would be contacting me. So why are you type thing? And I think we've got to decide who it is. Either it's MDHHS or Eagle, or which department is going to take over this idea of warning the public. I've shared before about First Lewis Lake here in Plainfield Township, and I actually contacted the municipality and I said, hey, you know, there's a warning on fish in your water. I mean, there's fish that, let me try this again. There's an eat safe fish warning for First Lewis Lake. There's visible foam and PFAS film on the surface water at times. But there is no sign that warns people, per se, about fishing and or bathing or swimming. So at the very least, I'm just sharing my story. I said, well, they don't have the sign, but looks like there's a shower over there so that people could rinse off if they, you know, at least wanted to. And these are a lot of young children near the shore. So I let them know we're halfway through the summer. The shower was never fixed. There's no way to rinse off. There's no suggestion of rinse off. There's no warning about the fish. It's like what people. I shared this 2 years ago about being on a trail in Colorado where they simply said, caution, keep in mind that mountain lions have been spotted in this area. It's like, well, that was enough for me. I was by myself. Nope, don't think I'll go there. It was a very simple sign. It's not making anyone go into a panic. It's just giving a fair warning. So I would like to see this issue continue to be talked about and resolved somehow when it comes to PFAS and swimming. And I think it's a great concern. And I think it could be fairly simply solved if we could just delegate it to whichever agency can make it happen. Otherwise, it's not going to happen. That's my thought on it.
Thanks, Lynn. Stacy. Stacy, it looks like your microphone is not muted, but you're not coming across. I know Kelly had even reached out to you and tried to resolve this issue. I'm not sure.
I actually spent an hour with her one day trying to troubleshoot. We had this issue through Teams and also through Zoom, so I don't know what the issue is.
Right. Gail?
Yes. Along with what Lynn and others have been saying about warning, just like we have warning bottles on our medications, on poisons, and some of these lakes and fish are literally poison. So it stands to reason if we can use that to talk to the decision makers, it's just like you put a label on a hazardous chemical bottle, you need to put hazardous chemical signs on lakes and streams. That's all I wanted to say, because I thought that was a good analogy to maybe get people to think that this is really important and serious.
Thanks, Gail. Appreciate that. And I thought I saw, yep, phone number 313-399-0735.
Yes, this is Teresa. I'm on the phone.
Hi,
And
Teresa.
Hi, everybody doing? I just wanted to add a comment to what Lynn just stated. There's a serious challenge with notification and whose jurisdiction it is, not only with PFAS, but with other contaminants in the water and in the soil. Just recently, I don't know how far the newspaper goes, it was put in the newspaper that Ballinger Park was closed due to serious contamination of cadmium, lead, and other contaminants. The problem was found out last August and in the city of River Rouge, right between the DTE coal power plant that is shut down and the idled U.S. Steel. The Eagle knew it, EPA knew it, and the city of River Rouge knew it. But nobody has informed the general public. So all summer, fall, and even into the fall months, the public has not been notified. I wrote a letter to the EPA, and they said they would find out whose jurisdiction it was. They sent me to Eagle. They sent me to the Michigan Department of Natural Resources. They shifted me back to Eagle because they said it wasn't their jurisdiction. So there's a serious challenge with notification, whose jurisdiction it is. And then when I got the final reply to all my 20 questions, the Eagle sent a letter of due care to the city of River Rouge suggesting they shut the park down, grass, pavement, and all. And they left it up to River Rouge to notify the public. The city of River Rouge does not want it known. So when someone queried it at the city council meeting, they just were told, oh, the park is being worked on. So we have a serious problem with our state agency allowing local municipalities to notify the people, in which they did not want to notify the people because wildlife season was coming up. They closed the park in March of 2023. Problem discovered in 2022. They opened the park back up for the anglers to go in and fish for walleye. Then they shut that down. They only quartered off the grass. So when I asked the question, could the contamination be in the water as well? I was told yes. So there's a failure among our regulatory agencies and our local municipalities in public notification. So thank you, Lynn, for bringing that up.
Lynn.
Yeah, I really appreciate everything that Teresa shared. That's been my experience too. It took, 10 years before the EPA and through a unilateral order made sure that the Rogue River, it's not the Rouge River, here it's the Rogue River, that contaminated sediment got scooped up and warning signs were put up and hand washing stations. It shouldn't be that hard. I strongly suggest that this COG make this an agenda item that gets resolved. When I hear Teresa's story, and I've seen this happen over and over again, we've got to figure out in Michigan about notification and signage whose jurisdiction it is, period. I think it's highly important, and I would like to keep it on the agenda until we make progress here. It's heart-wrenching. It's heart-wrenching to as someone who knows about the contamination, to see children playing in it. And this idea of stigma is really big with cities and municipalities. It's not going to work that way. So, Abby, I don't know where to go from here. I'm just saying, let's not let this one drop. And that's it.
Yeah. Thanks, Lynn.
Mm-hmm.
I'm taking notes.
Thank you.
May I throw in something else too? I'm very concerned because here we have been working for years, all through COVID, around no public notification. And when we first talked about it, my concern and my comment was public notification should be immediate.
Yes.
No waiting 3 days, no waiting a week, because people are continuing to be harmed. I really think that we, as the MPART, and us also on the MAC EJ, we should call the governor on the carpet. We should call the head of Eagle on the carpet regarding public notification and whose jurisdiction it is, how they get informed, and how they allow municipalities to handle serious contamination problems. And so that's my last comment.
Thank you, Teresa.
No, it's that important. We can't just keep going around in circles here. I agree.
Connie, did I see your hand up a minute ago?
Yes, you did. Teresa and I live in Wayne County. We have the largest number of state legislatures, representatives in the state legislature. I think we've got to really push hard to combine public notification along with polluter pays. That Bellinger Park, the PRPs, potentially responsible parties, I'm really guessing is going to be DTE and US Steel. Okay, we've got to get the polluter pay back online again. And Eagle should be the one providing the public notification, as Teresa said, ASAP. I mean, we've been dealing with this public notification document for what, 2 years now? And it just reinforces the fact to me that the state of Michigan is the least transparent. And there was an article on it in the Detroit News of all of the states, including Puerto Rico and Guam, are more transparent than the state of Michigan. That is criminal. The state of Michigan lacks transparency and must be made accountable. And when we see things like this and people are not responding to us, vote them out of office. Get rid of them. They don't deserve to be in. That's my comment.
Connie, I don't think we can wait that long. I mean, by the time we get the polluter pay in there, this just is a simple thing. It's a simple, safe warning thing. It shouldn't be that hard to figure out. There shouldn't be any pushback on it.
Okay, how about we meet with, Lynn, how about if we, as a COG, meet with Philip Roos and get it on the table? Meet with Governor Whitmer, get it on the table.
I'm all for getting it on the table. I just feel it's too important.
I do too. I mean, I think it's criminal. We sat on the public notification document for like 2 years. That's saying that we're failures.
Well, it just happened here in Cortland Township too, and I know it's a better scenario than it would have been, but the person in charge, the supervisor, knew about. And Abby, this I give a lot of credit to MPART for this, because the site manager, Leah Geese, at the very start of the investigation, she said to the supervisor, "Would you like to have a public meeting?" And he declined. It took 3 rounds before he agreed to have a public meeting. And I felt like MPART was trying to work with the situation. And even then, you can take one supervisor who says, well, let's just see where it goes. Sorry, right. There shouldn't be any, it should just be done, no questions asked. That's what I want to see. And I need to step down. I'm dominating. Sorry.
Does anybody else have any comments on their own communities?
May I jump in again off the phone, Teresa?
Yes.
I am so concerned that I do have an upcoming meeting with Mr. Roos, and my concerns are going to be addressed because I will have them in writing and submit them to him. As well as last week, I did have the opportunity to take Eagle Director Phil Roos on a tour to give him a little bit of insight on what we deal with. And so our upcoming meeting will be soon. So, you know,
excellent. Good work, Teresa.
Beg your pardon?
Good work.
Oh, thank you. And so I will be addressing the PFAS issue notification. I will be addressing the soil contamination notification. I will be asking the question when it's jurisdictional power or notification. How do we get past that? What power does Eagle have over local municipalities as our state regulatory agency? That's the question I'm going to ask, because I don't feel that the state should have left it up to the city of River Rouge to decide when they will and how they will notify the mass public. Thank you.
Can I come, Teresa?
Well, I'm gonna try to set it up the best I can. He asked me, and I have just provided. I just drafted a list of people to include in the meeting, as well as I asked people for their dates and times of availability, and I've gotten them, and so I will be drafting an email to him of the availability of the residents, and I will be drafting some of our concerns and tell him who will be in the room.
Hats off to you, Teresa. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Gail.
Yes, the state does have, it's called the police power. And I don't mean like your state police, it's to protect for the health and welfare of its citizens. And that is the umbrella which they can use to notify people. We have the police power to say, hey, we're going to warn people because it's for the safety and welfare of our citizens. And it's what's called legally the police powers of the state. And so they definitely have the power to do it.
So do you know which department or which agency that would fall under, or?
I don't know, but I'm assuming Eagle because it's environmental.
Abby, do you know if that would be the case, or?
I have not heard of any such abilities. Obviously, we have the ability to take immediate action if there's an imminent danger to public health and welfare. But given that we implement rules and policies that are all about risk mitigation and risk evaluation. And so we live in a world that, we're never risk-free when it comes to the potential for contamination. And so even when we do cleanups, often we're still leaving some level of contamination to still be there. So I don't know that I've ever heard of what Gail's talking about, but that doesn't mean it doesn't exist in one of the agencies. Maybe it's in Department of Health and Human Services.
Daniel.
Yeah, I wanted to highlight a couple of things. So the issue that Teresa described is, I think, particularly worrisome. So I just want to, highlight that issue in that spot specifically. I think this is another key issue of several that we've encountered that really highlights a vulnerability and a gap that needs to close. The other thing that Teresa and others have highlighted, which I think I absolutely want to make sure that we don't lose, is that not all municipalities, county governments can be relied on equally. In our watershed, in the Huron River watershed, I think we're pretty lucky. But even here, we have very different responses to the Do Not Eat Fish advisory that's been in place for a long time, with some municipalities more worried about affecting tourism dollars or various other things rather than protecting people. And on the flip side, we have communities that are very proactive about getting the health information out there. So it's really variable, and Eagle, HHS, DNR, as things come up, shouldn't rely on the assumption that the community is always going to do things logically or how we would assume that they might. With that in mind, I think it comes back to this problem that we've been, as others have said, dealing with for many years. This issue of notification, and it needs to be as prompt as possible. Like Teresa said, it really should be immediate when a problem is known, or when state officials in their understanding say, hey, we think we have a problem here. That information needs to be made public as soon as possible. Whether that's at the beginning of an investigation or when a site is known and we think people might be affected. And so building on this idea that all communities can't be treated equally or thought of as equally, and getting information out there, there has to be some sort of backup avenue for notification. In the case of River Rouge, the Friends of the Rouge are right there. And actually right through the time that Teresa was describing, we were working with the Friends of the Rouge and the Ecology Center on a program to do the fish sampling for PFAS. So we could have had anglers out at that site while all of this was happening. So there's a lot to take in on that, but clearly we need to have prompt notification. I think there are entities out there that can provide sort of that backstop for communities that aren't going to be as proactive in notifying public. And I think the easiest way to do this is to set up a public service email list where anybody that wants to get those bits of information can sign up for that email. I've never once, in all the time that I have worked on issues like this in multiple states, I have never once heard a community member say, geez, they really gave out too much information too fast and worried people unnecessarily. I've never once heard that come up. I've heard on occasion people say, I'm relieved it wasn't as bad as we thought it might be. But I've never once heard somebody say, oh, I had too much information and it confused people or it scared people. I have heard countless times where people have been furious that they felt something was kept from them or that they weren't notified quickly. So I think it serves no one, including Eagle staff and state officials, to slow down notification. I think it's always better to get as much information out there as soon as possible within their understanding and just operating transparently and honestly based on the information that they have. And I'll stop there.
And Mary, if I can just take a minute, I like Dan's ideas of, some sort of a email service, which I hope people are using, our MPART weekly web updates and news sites that come out for something like that as well. But this is going to be a layered approach. I mean, because to get to, like Mary, your example of to the people around your lakes, they may not be on our web server list. They may not be involved in anything environmental. So how do we layer it so that the information comes not just from the state officials or not just from the local officials or not just from local health, but, try to get the municipalities involved as well, but also get those nonprofits involved, because I think there's no one solution that's going to be great for every situation. And like you said, municipalities act differently across the state. We know that, right? We went through COVID. Every municipality did COVID differently. Some of them were furious. Some of them are still trying to out their public health directors because of it, because they lost that trust. And so I think that, when it comes to public notification, it's got to be something that comes from many different sources and many different levels. Because I just don't see, like, MPART, we're doing our best with 4 people to try to get as much information out as quickly as possible, training staff to be upfront and transparent every step of the way, not waiting until we have a liable party to pull in to do that residential sampling, to kind of do that proactive stuff. But that's only one piece of it, right? What you guys are talking about is much more comprehensive than what we're able to do. How do we put something that's together that's going to really address something from the grassroots up? Because I think that's really would be the most effective way to be able to try to do what you guys are really talking about. So I'll stop. Go ahead, Mary.
Well, as far as me, I just think there has to be a policy developed where probably the municipalities are not involved as much as possible. I think, there has to be a check and balance as far as, hey, I know you were going to send this on to the local health department. Do you know if they ever got in touch with everybody? That kind of a thing, so that everybody knows what the process is. Because I know when I was reading over your document that you sent, yes, for the Eat Safe Fish, it does appear that there are, steps that are taken. And I appreciate that. And I definitely appreciate the fact that MPART, you are stretched so thin with 4 staff people. And I think all of us that are on this call who have been on for any length of time know that the COG has been trying to even say, should we reach out to our legislators? Should we, how do we approach that you need more help or you need more money or whatever? I just in the engaging the public. I was part of that with Kelly and Brandon Thomas from MDHHS. And, it just even sounds overwhelming, just the process for getting a campaign, for the water in process right now. But the problem is that there are areas that are well identified and have been for a length of time, and they're still not being informed. And, I don't know how we're going to resolve it, but I think we still have to keep working on it. And whether it involves Lynn's comment of keep this on the agenda, if we have a separate meeting where anybody, wants to specifically speak just to public notification and how we try to bridge this gap, I don't know. But I do think we have to try. So, Connie.
Yes, maybe after Teresa has the meeting with Phil Roos, we approach him as a COG on this PFAS stuff. And the other thing, the simplest way to do public notification, and it was in our public notification document, do a press release, have it on the news, have it on the local news. All it need is one person to hear it, they tell their neighbors, and it spreads. So I don't know why we're making this so complicated. Get on the darn news and tell people.
What do you put on the news, though, Connie? Because I mean, how many press releases
Eagle has just identified a new PFAS site located right here in Detroit. It's probably the 500th PFAS site that we know about already because we've got so many. Watch it. It's around East Grand Boulevard or wherever it is. Please don't touch any foam. Please don't go fishing in the Rouge River or the Detroit River. Just tell them so they're not exposed. Identify the source. Tell them to avoid it. Don't make it complicated. Just the public
it is
affairs.
Complicated.
Oh, okay. I read a ton of Eagle press releases. It's not, Abby. I read a ton of Eagle press releases all the time. I open up my email. Here's another press release, another press release. Well, you should be doing the same thing for the PFAS sites.
Well, we do.
Instead, it seems like it's being hidden.
Not with weekly outreach every single week to a couple thousand people about new MPART sites. Every Monday morning, you get a new outreach on new MPART sites that come out. So, and it's on our website. So
Yeah,
we're
but
not trying to
a lot
hide
of
anything.
A lot of people here in Detroit don't have computers. They're not savvy that way. So while you have a website, they're not even going to know what MPART means. They're not going to know even what the term website means. So you got to do it by putting it on the television, on the local news, put it on the local radio. Channel 950, I mean radio AM 950 AM. Do it on a PBS station. Do it on the local news, Channel 4, Channel 7.
All right, thanks, Connie.
Daniel.
Yeah, I mean, on the idea of, you know, press release or just sort of a, you know, a blast notification, you know, there are times where I think we can point to where we've seen things that have been effective, where the word has gotten out very quickly. The Hexchrome scare, I think, is a reasonably good example where, you know, within an hours to a day, you know, there was a critical mass of entities that were notified of, you know, this impending problem and the concern, and that came from state officials. You know, the rest of us are looking at the state and state agencies for leaderships in moments like that, or regarding any other site. We're not looking to municipal leaders or city council officials. Even if we supported them and voted for them and have all the faith in them in the world, we're not looking to them for leadership in those situations. We're looking to state officials to notify us quickly and to get the word out. So that, you know, that basic idea of what Connie is describing, I think is the right one, because if you start bringing in more municipal leaders who may have ulterior motives or may not be as proactive on public health advisories as you'd like, that is going to increase complexity and it's going to lead to delays. And they're not the ones that should be getting the notifications out there. The state's the one that, you know, detected the risk, and that's who we're looking to release those advisories. So yeah, I mean, again, you know, basically what I've said before many times, you know, this basic system of that sort of mimics kind of the MDOT alerts. Hey, there's a traffic accident in a road that you signed up to hear about. Avoid this road. Goes out immediately. You know, Eagle could have a very similar system of, hey, new sites detected, new information released about these sites. Some sort of digest email sign up that goes out like that, in just sort of a generic press release. It gets the information out there quickly. It's not perfect. There are ways that it can be improved, but it's certainly better than, you know, going several months while we try to work out, you know, the minutia of what municipalities involved and who's going to be messaging what, when the notification should be coming from the state officials and the ones that have detected the threat and done all the legwork anyway. I'll stop there.
Thank you. Gail.
Yes, I just wanted to make a point on PSAs, public service announcements. What I forgot who was saying about that. You can send all the public service announcements you want to radio stations, TV stations. They are not required to put them out. They get tons of these things. And it's just a luck of the draw whether they will announce them or not. And when they announce it might be 2 a.m. So there's that added, well, layer or concern on it too for a public service announcement. I will leave it there. I'm going to sign off. I am fading fast.
Thanks,
Goodbye,
Gail.
everyone.
Thanks for joining.
Good night, Gail.
Does anybody have any more comments before we close this part of the meeting? Okay, on to subcommittee reports. For the website review subcommittee.
Yeah, hi, this is Brad Benman. We did have our meeting this afternoon at basically we're continuing our discussion of some of the revamping or the revised resource page that Kelly was kind enough to share with where things are, and parts of it are looking quite good, and if we're not sure yet, but we're hoping that that it's going to be available to view by the public by the end of the year.
Thank you.
That was about the extent of our conversation, so it took the whole half hour.
Excellent. Thanks, Brad.
Great.
Appreciate it. Dave, did you want to add anything for prevention?
I just have one thing. We have not had any new meetings, but I want to thank Kelly for adding the 2 new water quality standards to the document. And Kelly made that modification, and her and I discussed it. She made the modification and it's been republished. So thank you, Kelly.
Thanks, Dave. Okay, for the Engaging the Public Subcommittee, we had 3 of us, Kelly, Brandon Thomas, and myself. One of the things that I think we need to be mindful of, and going back to the same thing, Kelly had shared that, you know, she has to review the updates for each site as they are given by the site leads. And currently there are 90 different site leads for MPART that come to MPART. There could be more by this point. Kelly has to review the updates before sending them on. They no longer use the tier system because there are so many different reports. There are 269 sites, I think, starting tomorrow. Funding is not included as a line item for increasing staff. And, you know, when you talk about the fact that each of these sites, as far as being updated, it's based more on the analytics of how often people go to those sites. And I know for Holly, ours was updated last in 2021. So it's just, you know, a sign of everything else. But for the MPART staff, I just think that that's almost an impossible situation when you look at 269 sites, 4 different people dealing with that many sites. We appreciate your efforts to all the MPART staff. And on the analytics, Kelly was sharing too that with the analytics on the MPART site, half are Michigan residents, but half are out-of-state residents trying to learn about PFAS. So I guess, you know, as far as Michigan being the leader and they're trying to find out new information, that's helpful for them. And then the membership committee, I guess I can just say that the membership committee did not meet, but we did in the member-only meeting that was just held. We did discuss membership. We are going to look into drafting a letter to send to the members who have not been present at all during meetings of this year. We'll also be looking at how to design a handout or materials for member recruitment and for an orientation type thing for new members joining the COG. So if there's anybody who's interested in that portion, we would welcome any new members to the membership subcommittee. And you can contact Joe, Daniel, or myself. And I would be happy to send out information regarding that. Before I turn this over to Abby, I would like to point out a couple different things. There's not going to be a meeting for the COG in December. We will meet back on January 9th. The MPART PFAS Summit is December 5th through the 7th. And the code to use for free admittance for COG members is PFAS-COMP, C-O-M-P, all in capital letters. And Kelly, can you say specifically which box that has to be entered in?
Catching me off guard, Mary, but
I know. Sorry.
I think there's a coupon box.
Yeah, through the registration process, it'll say coupon box or comp code or something like that. Just make sure it's in all caps and it's, like you said, PFAS hyphen comp.
Okay. Great, thank you. So the member-only meeting was on November 9th, and we had 15 members that were able to join at 4 in the afternoon, and varying times because of people joining in later as well. I will also be out of touch in the near future due to surgery of an immediate family member. So if you don't hear from me for a few days, that's where I will be. I'm also having some email issues, so that might be. If you send me something and you don't get a reply right away, please resend it a couple days later. Thank you. Does anybody have any meeting topics that they would like covered in the future? Brad.
Yes, I would suggest that perhaps we need to have some discussion of, I wasn't at the public or the all COG member meeting, but there was some confusion, I think, regarding some of the permitting programs and the applicability of the Rule 57 criteria, the Part 22 criteria, and the cleanup criteria. So we probably need somebody to kind of explain how those all go together under which permit programs. They're not necessarily directly applicable within each and every one of those. So I guess that would be my suggestion for a future presentation.
Great, thanks, Brad. Nobody else?
So I think I got, sorry, I think I got kicked off there for a second, but yeah, I think what I heard right at the tail end there was, basically how the, water quality values, the various criteria kind of all fit together. What are the pathways for enforcement for each of those? One question that we've been getting after, PFBS and PFNA had the water quality values released. The direct question is the Huron River safe to swim? Because when you read through the water quality values, it's, basically, is this fit for purpose for the river and recreation? So that, I think that basic understanding of how people are going to be coming at this and how those fit into the regulatory framework, I think, is needed.
Thanks. Stacy, you're muted right now. We still can't hear you, Stacy. I'm sorry. Lynn?
Yeah, poor Stacy. Maybe we should try smoke signals. I would like to see how we're going to keep track of our goals. I think it's great to be getting new information to a certain degree each month from the agencies, but how are we going to make sure that we have some sense of a minutes and some kind of agreement? Because we can vote on these things. Like what is going to be our focus so that we don't lose track of these discussions? We don't really have a way. It's not effective to go back and re-listen to a meeting. I doubt many people, people who haven't been there might do that, but a way to codify. This is what we talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And this was, this seemed very pressing. And what's the follow-up on it? So that when we start at the next meeting, we just don't start somewhere else and lose track. We're not keeping track. And I think it makes us feel like someone at the COG only meeting brought that up. It's a great idea. We need to keep track. We need to stay focused. We need to see what's been changed and what's been accomplished. Some concrete. So I think we need to discuss that and figure out how to do it, because otherwise I start to feel like we're just going around in circles, and it's too important to be going around in circles. That's my opinion on a topic.
Thank you. Does anybody have any last suggestions before we turn it over to Abby? Okay, Abby, all yours.
All right. Thank you. Let's talk about a couple of new MPART sites. We've got the one on 3283 South Dork Highway, Burton, and that is in Genesee County, and then another one in Clio at 11134 North Saginaw. So, and those are new. And then as well as we'll be posting Denver Corporation in Lansing. So those are on the MPART website. Check those out for the updates. And we do have an upcoming town hall, November 30th. We're looking at having one for Fruitland Township landfill. Fruitland Township is the liable party with their, as the township owns the landfill, but we will be having a public meeting about the drinking water sampling that's been done out there and some of the work that they've been doing at the landfill itself. So that one will be in person as well. As you said, Mary, our registration is open for our Great Lakes PFAS Summit. And so far, we're trying to get over 2,000 people. So far we're at over 1,000 people that have registered, as with still 3 weeks to go. So happy to have everybody. There will be some really good conversations and discussions. Some of it's pretty techy, but I think that you guys will still really enjoy it. So join us for that. It's a half a day on the 5th and then all day on the 6th and 7th. And everything's recorded, so you always can come back and listen to it later.
As long as you register.
As long as you register, please register, yes. If you don't register, you don't get into the Wahoo app, and that's what how they've got them all recorded in that. As you guys have talked about, is there any more slides, Kelly, or is that it? Okay. As you guys, just a couple of other things, as you guys have talked about, we do have new surface water quality values for PFNA and PFHXS. Those just came out in the last 5 weeks, I think. So we now have 5 different surface water quality values for PFAS. Oh, the other big thing, I don't know how many of you guys got the listserv from RRD and Eagle. There was, we took out the soil criteria that was protective for GSI. Those numbers came out of the tables. So we, at this point, do not have any soil criteria in the 201 tables. At the same time, the new surface water quality values were added into the groundwater tables. So now we have 5 groundwater criteria for GSI protection. There's nothing in the soils. That was due to the previous numbers had been published. But somewhere along the line, the legislature changed Part 201, and there was a note in there that all of the criteria since 2018 had to be promulgated and not just published, but promulgated. And those particular criteria had been just published, and so they were at this point no longer enforceable. So we did remove them from the tables. We will look at putting them back in the tables when we get some basically some better science. So we're going to be looking at doing those evaluations on soil criteria, looking specifically for soil criteria protective of groundwater. So that's in our game plans, and we'll be taking steps towards that. But just a heads up on that. And I think those are all the big things. And I took lots of notes tonight, so I think that's all I've got for right now. Mary.
Thank you very much. Well, thanks everybody for joining in, and I hope everybody has a great Thanksgiving coming up. And Lynn, one more comment?
Well, I just wanted to say, you know, at the end of this discussion, I do want to end on the note of still gratitude for what has, I know things have changed for the better. I know that I can count on, you know, my office here in Grand Rapids. And I feel that there's been much improvement in terms of transparency than there was in 2017. So there are good things happening. And I think when we speak passionately like this, it's because we feel an urgency and a need for resolution. But, and Kelly, you know, too, I just, even the way that you ended that meeting with that adorable photo of the snow angel, you know, those little things mean a lot. So I do, since we're not going to see each other for Christmas, I do want to wish all the staff and all my other members here a wonderful Thanksgiving and Christmas holiday, and just take time to remember that as well.
Thank you, Lynn. Happy Thanksgiving.
Connie.
Yeah, just a couple of quick things. To Kelly, I want to say thank you for the Michigan Enviro Portal education, especially on how to access it. That was great of you to do that with Sarah. Second thing is, on a topic for the future, could we have something on biosolids application? What is the state planning to do? Are they still going to allow wastewater treatment sludge to be applied to ag land? Or are there some standards that they're going to have for PFAS in the biosolids before they allow that? So if we could have something on biosolids, and I'd love to know where EPA is on their PFAS concentrations that they're supposed to be developing for surface water, groundwater. We'll probably hear that at the summit though, but I hope we will. And then Abby, the final thing on the 2 new sites, what kind of sites were they? Were they chrome plating or industrial, or what were they?
Oh, I knew you were going to ask me a tough one on the way out the door. Honestly, Connie, I'd have to go back and look at my notes.
That's okay. I was just curious. That's all. All right.
But Connie, you've taken a look at the interim biosolids strategy that we've got, right? You've
Yeah.
already seen that?
Yeah.
Okay. It'll be updated again the beginning of next year, and we'll be adding PFOA to that. So we're going to continue to ratchet that down while we're waiting for EPA's their biosolids strategy. But yeah, at this point, as long as people can get their biosolids down below 20, then we're considering it to not be industrially impacted and can be applied at a normal agronomic rate. So we can definitely talk more about biosolids because I think there's a bigger picture on it, but I want to make sure that you had actually seen the the industrial or the interim biosolids strategy that we've put out.
Okay, happy
Happy
Thanksgiving to everybody.
11/134 in Clio. That's a fuel distribution site that had a fire where AFFF was used.
Thank you. Thank you, Mike.
Okay. Thank you.
Lynn, do you still have your hand up?
I do, but I'm done. Thank you.
Okay.
She's too tired to put it down.
Uh, thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining.
All right. Have a good night.
Take care.
Thanks. Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.